and then we'll just let it
Yeah.
flow
All right.
as we do. Let's actually go
Welcome
in with
back.
no plan.
Yeah, yeah. We're like, let's do this. No, let's do this. Okay, sounds
Scrap it all.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
Welcome back to
Welcome back.
Literally Nothing Matters,
Yeah.
where literally nothing matters except for Alice Osborne
Oh,
and her
isn't
mama.
he so cute?
It is so cute. I love the name Alice.
Thank you. Annie has already started nicknaming her Allie, which is like the
Oh,
funniest thing. She's like obsessed with it. So
that's so
we have a nickname
cute.
already. 2 weeks in. Well, tomorrow's 2 weeks. Today's Friday, March 22nd. Tomorrow she'll be 2 weeks old already.
That is crazy. So tell us, how have the first 2 weeks been? How are
Oh my
you
God.
doing before we get into all the baby stuff?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm like very um just like letting things be this time around. I'm way more graceful with myself. I have been on a roller coaster of hormones and I'm just like letting myself go with it.
Yeah.
My birth story, which I'm going to get really deep into, was very emotional. And um it's funny, it's like literally the exact opposite of what happened with Annie. I feel
Mm.
like it's flip-flopped. So my recovery has been really kind of like easy breezy.
Oh, good.
Um, but I think that there's just so much more grace in letting things be this time
Mm.
around and not forcing them and not like trying to be like back
Yeah.
anytime soon. If you can tell I'm in my robe and
I really
like
love this.
living however I want. And just like not following any advice, to be honest with you. I feel like I have gotten every little bit of advice, and I finally clicked me the other, like right when I had Alice, of like, how about I just listen to my own body instead of being like, some like the
Right.
nurses, like one example, the nurses are like, you can use the stairs, and then other people are like, don't use the stairs. And I'm like, what if I didn't like contradict myself in my head and I just did whatever I wanted to do, you know? And it's just
Yeah.
like
And
littlest
take
things
your
like that. So
time.
yeah, I'm just doing whatever feels good for me. And so I'm doing really good. I honestly am. I feel like my head is in a pretty good place. There's been days that have been really hard and days that have been very dreamy. So just living moment to moment and trying to cherish it all.
I love it. And what has, like, what's the situation with like Annie and all of that? Because obviously, very exciting. We have a family of four now, but I would imagine in the first few days, where like you are truly physically and emotionally and mentally healing. The baby is fresh to the world. She doesn't know what the hell's going on. And then you have a 2 year old running around too. So, like, is Annie still staying on her schedule of like school and stuff?
That's a
Like,
good question.
how does all that work?
So it has been a roller coaster because I ended up with a C-section. And so things definitely were different than I was hoping that they
Mm.
would be. So I can't pick up Annie. I
Okay.
can't drive. And the first day I was home, I would say was hard for like both me and her of being like,
Mm. Mm.
she'd cry and be like, Mom. And then I'm like,
Mm.
I can't even get up to like soothe you. And she would have like a tantrum and just like look at me, and it's like, oh my,
Mm.
like I felt like complete crap.
Aw.
And he literally cried all day and like got it out. And thankfully, Chad has been so freaking amazing. I feel like I have a whole portion of things that I want to talk about that he has done that has been so helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely been hard for both of us. Like I said, the first day or so was really hard emotionally. Like I think all the girls in the house were crying at the whole day.
You're like, welcome to this household, Chad. House of
Yeah.
gals.
And then you just like all felt like crap. And then you solve the problem. And it's like Annie's really smart. So I'm so thankful for that. Like she understands, like we've come up with vocabulary and ways to kind of like tell her, like I have a boo-boo. I can't pick you up. I love you so
Mm.
much. Come on over to the couch with me. And she's getting used to it.
Aw.
So it's definitely easier as the time's gone on. And she's definitely clung to Chad way more than she ever has before. So I'm like, I'm gonna get you back, girl.
Yeah.
Um, So I'm already plotting that revenge, but yeah, she's doing really good actually. She is definitely regressing with sleep. She's been in our bed the past couple nights, and Chad and I had a talk last night of like, do we want this to happen? Like,
Mm,
are we just gonna let her cry it out type of thing? And I'm like, but that's so hard for me right now. So like I don't care. I'm like going back to that thought of what feels good for me. And it's like
yeah.
I want her in the bed, and I don't care if that's a good thing or a bad thing or what that's gonna look like 6 months from now. Right now, it's keeping me feeling happy to like look over and see her happy cuddling with us. And so we're going with it.
Yeah. Like maybe she
So
just
that's
needs
my
that extra
regression.
comfort because, like, it's a big
Yep.
transition for her too. And she's so young. I'm sure it's a little confusing.
Yeah. And
Teach them
school, she's
mama.
still going to school. So yeah. She also has a cold, and so that's been tough. She literally had it the day we were coming home. My sister-in-law texted us and was like, "So Annie's not feeling good and she was up all night." And I'm like, "Great, we're literally getting the
Perfect.
baby in like the car seat to come
Yeah.
home." We get home, Annie's like covered in boogers, so miserable. And so I obviously have her cold right now. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Alice has her cold right now, and I'm like, "Oh my God."
Getting
So
that immune
yeah,
system right away.
it's real. But she's doing really good, like way better than I thought she was. So I'm happy
Oh.
about that.
Do we have
Yeah.
a video at all of Annie's reaction of like meeting Alice?
Oh my God.
So
Yeah. I
good.
set up my phone in the corner and chat. And like I couldn't even talk the whole time because if I start talking, I'm gonna start bawling.
Yeah.
And so she was so excited. She like crawled up to the little bassinet and is looking in there and just so excited. And she is so obsessed. She just wants to hold Alice the whole time and burp her and
Oh
change her diaper. And she is like the best little helper. So
oh my gosh.
yeah. I know. It
Well,
literally
can't wait to
just
watch that and also cry.
I
Um,
know.
why don't you tell us everything? Start from the
Tell you
beginning. Let's
everything.
hear the story.
Oh my God. Everyone get your seatbelts clipped. It
Good.
is a fucking journey, okay? We're gonna probably need tissues. I don't have them, but I have this
I don't
breast
either.
cloth,
I'm
if
close
you
to the
will.
bathroom. I can run and grab some toilet paper if I need to.
Oh my God. I was telling Alex and Taylor this story and I was just like crying the whole time. And Chad's like, yo, you good? I was like, every time I tell
No.
this story, I'm probably going to cry. So
Yeah.
let's just get that ready. So yeah, it's definitely an emotional one. It is an unexpected journey. If you're scared of childbirth, probably not a good time to listen to this
Mm. Yeah.
because there are
No way.
very unexpected turns and twists about it. So just want to let you know that if you are like going through this journey soon, you might want to listen to it after. It's a great story. It's a beautiful story, but still, childbirth in itself is a wild
Yeah.
time.
I think that's
So
a
let's
fair
go. Let's
warning.
go. I'm also gonna like forget things, and so just give me a little bit of your patience here. So we're gonna go everywhere.
Absolutely.
All right. So 2 weeks ago yesterday, it was Thursday, and I went to get pizza. And I noticed I got out
Mhm.
of my car, as you do, right? I got out of my car and I noticed kind of like a little bit of like leakage going on. But like when
Mm.
you're pregnant, things are funky down there anyway. So I was like, maybe it's just like discharge, or sometimes it's called like you lose your mucus plug, which
Mm.
then you usually lose your water after, and then labor starts.
Or sometimes you pee yourself.
And then you by yourself, right? So anyways, I noticed a little bit of something, but nothing enough for me to be like alarmed
Yeah.
whatsoever. And so totally fine night. I woke up in the morning and the same thing happened again. And I was like, I don't know, I'll check my doula just to check in. And she's like, yeah, you might want to just call your midwife, let them know. You might want to get it checked for just to make sure it's not your water. Sometimes that happens, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, it's definitely not my water. Like I have not one contraction. I am not in labor. Because like I said, that's usually the progression. It's usually like your mucus plug you
Yeah.
lose, and then your water breaks, and then your contractions start, and you are obviously in labor. So I go to the midwives the Friday afternoon, and it's almost 24 hours since I noticed the first like leakage thing. And they end up being like, yeah, let's just make sure you're not in, your water isn't broke. They tested it and it was my water that had broken. And so initially I was like, wow, this is so exciting. Like labor's gonna start, or like I'm in labor. I don't even
Right.
feel anything. This is gonna be easy. What are you talking about?
Plus, like at that point, you're so ready
Oh my God,
to
yeah.
just
Yeah, I
like
was
do
over
it.
40
You're like,
weeks
I'm ready for
pregnant.
the next chapter.
Yeah.
Every
Yep.
day, you're like, I'm going crazy.
Yes, I was 40 weeks and 2 days on that Friday.
Oh my God, that's
And
wild.
so I was really excited about it. And Chad and I are like, all right, let's gear up. And the midwife was like, all right, we're gonna admit you over to labor and delivery. And I was like, but that's so weird. Like, I'm not in labor. Like, this is just like weird. And I knew, and she had said, like, if you get admitted, you're likely going to start on Pitocin so we can get some contractions started. And that was like opposite of what I wanted. I
Yeah.
wanted everything to be really natural. And so in my head, I was already like, oh shit, like I know this has been almost 24 hours. They say risk of infection goes up within 24 hours if you're not, if when your water breaks to
Mm.
when you should have the baby. And I'm like, I'm not even in labor yet. So all these thoughts are kind of ruminating. So, anyways, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for a walk and then we'll get admitted. So we go outside, we're walking around. The midwife thought we were like crazy because she's like, girl, your water broke. Like, you need to get the show on the road. And I'm like, we're gonna go for a walk.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you kind of just in that moment, I feel like it's easy to just be like almost scared into whatever they're telling you and just be like, okay, I guess that's what we have to do. And like you knew that you needed a minute for yourself and you didn't want to just jump into like being induced.
Yes,
So
exactly.
snap for
Exactly.
Caitlin.
Thank you. So we're walking around and I call my doula and she was saying how a lot of people have like slow leak. So basically like what we think happened is the baby like punctured my water and it was just slow leaking. It wasn't like this
Mm,
gush like you would expect. And she was basically like, as long as you haven't inserted something, nothing can infect you because nothing has been in your vagina. And so I'm
yeah.
like, okay, that's another good perspective. So then I'm tossing the idea of like, maybe I just go home and like let labor start. And like, but then in my head, I'm like, well, what if something got infected? Like, I would never be able to forgive myself, all of these things. So, anyways, we're talking it through. I decide to go home, take a shower, and then we're going to regroup, get our bags together, and then go back to the hospital, get admitted. And while we're home, we'll do all the things to try to induce labor. So like curb walking, pumping, like doing all of those things just to kind of like get your body going. But I had been doing this all week. So I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, this is probably isn't gonna work. So we go home, we do all those things, nothing's happening. Um, and I'm like, okay, we need to get the show on the road. So I made the decision to go and get admitted. And I was really nervous because, like I said, we were going to start Pitocin. I knew that was going to happen. It was something I did not want to happen because Pitocin's known to be pretty intense. It's known to
Mm.
like start your contractions. And I didn't want to have an epidural. I didn't want to have really anything in my body. And it's also Pitocin is kind of like the synthetic thing to get your body contracting, but then your body doesn't know it's supposed to be contracting, so there's no endorphins to counteract it, and that's why it's so intense.
Yeah,
So,
wait,
anyways, go.
before we move on,
Yeah.
um, what was kind of your plan? I know it was like pretty loosey goosey, but like what was your kind of hope for everything?
Yeah, my hope was that I was going to go into labor naturally, spontaneously. I was going to stay home as long as I could, just because I knew I didn't want the epidural. I wasn't against it, but I just didn't. I
Yeah.
wanted to see how long I could go with it. I wanted really to experience what labor was like, and make it like a really positive experience.
Mm,
And I wanted it completely opposite of what I had with my C-section with Annie.
right.
I just felt like it was a journey that I've like wanted to kind of embark
Experience.
on my whole like womanhood. And so, yeah, I just wanted it to be as natural as possible.
Totally.
And Pitocin was basically like off the table for me. Like in my birth
Yeah.
plan, it was like, no, no. So, anyways, we're going to get Pitocin.
Hmm.
So
So
we go in.
already it's like,
Yeah, yeah. So
mm,
in my head, I'm already like, all right, well, like I kind of know I'm gonna end up with an epidural because I know that this is gonna be a little bit more intense than I want. But
mm,
anyways, I'm still open to that, like as long as my baby's healthy. So we go in and we talked to the midwife and I basically am like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do Pitocin. And she's like, you need to. So we start on Pitocin and they do 2 milliliters an hour and they increase it every hour. So like 2, 4, 6, 8.
mm,
Um, and so we it's so funny too, because throughout the day, all these things that I didn't want to happen, like when I went to get my waters checked on my birth plan, it was like no student nurses. Of course, when went to get the water checked, a student nurse is with her. And I'm
yeah.
like, I can't say to leave the room. Oh my God. And then when I
Right.
went to get freaking Pitocin, if you're a needle person, skip this part. You have to get IVs. I have to get 2 IVs just because I had a VBAC. sure I was trying for a VBAC. And so just in case something happened, they need to have access immediately.
Mm.
Um, and so she literally put one IV in and it blew out. So like my
What does
vein,
that mean? The
like
vein
it
goes out?
didn't, yeah, like it wasn't working. Like you could see just like a bruise basically start in my vein. And it took
Yeah.
like 10 minutes of her trying to, then she went the other arm, the exact same thing happened. And I'm like,
Uh,
okay, like great way to start. So they had
yeah.
to have like a head nurse come in and do both IVs over.
Good God.
Um, so like small problem in the grand scheme of things, but like that's how it started. And I'm like, great. So anyways, so we start the Pitocin and it really wasn't bad. It was kind of like crampy feeling, whatever at first, and I'm trying to move around to try to induce labor naturally still. And then it just like nothing's really happening. So I decide to lay low. I tried to get some rest because at this point it was Friday night around I don't even know, maybe 10 p.m. So I was like, I'll try to rest knowing that it's going to get more intense. So the night goes on, they keep increasing the Pitocin, and then kind of like what you would expect in labor happens. I definitely like lost my mucus plug. There was a lot of like blood. Weird, but you literally get like diarrhea because it just like everything out of your body just purges. And so that's actually a indicator that you're in labor. Fun fact. You get diarrhea.
Interessant.
I know. Um,
Thanks. Thanks to know.
just purge when you get diarrhea. It's common.
Yep.
What else was happening? So yeah, physically it's like getting more intense. And at some point I'm like, okay, I can't be in the bed anymore. This is probably like 3 in the morning.
Okay. Wait, and what
So
time did you go to the hospital?
we got there around like 9 p.m.
Okay.
Yep, 8 or 9 p.m. So anyways, we are doing all of the things just to like move around and everything. Contractions are getting real intense. So I got checked at some point, probably around that time, and my cervix was, I think, like 60% effaced. I don't even know what that means. I think it's like how thin your cervix is. It has to be 100%. And then I was only dilated half a centimeter and I was -2 station. So like where your baby is located in your
Mm.
pelvis, it has to be actually, I have no idea. I think like 10. I have no idea, but not negative.
Right. Like we're moving in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I'm like, well, this isn't fun. So they start to kind of like increase Pitocin a little bit more. The same things are happening. So like you're getting really intense contractions. I'm
Mm.
getting kind of like animalistic at this point. So
Okay.
like you're swearing, you're moving, you're like your body's just doing its thing and you're kind of like going inward. Like I don't even I wrote down in my notes like nothing that I thought was going to work for me worked. Like I was like, I'm
Mm.
gonna set the scene. It's gonna be beautiful. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have tea lights. I'm gonna have a tub the whole time. Like we're just gonna get set the scene, right? I
Yep.
didn't give a shit if there was like blinding lights in my eyes.
Yes.
I was ass naked the whole time. Like I was like, I bought these like cute, not cute bras, but like comfy bras
Yeah.
and like robes and stuff. No, I was literally ass naked, sweating, like sweating but freezing. I got in the tub at one point and I was like, get me the fuck out of this. This is
Yes.
ridiculous. Like, I literally got so hot and then I was freezing and I was just like so claustrophobic. Poor
Fuck the
Chad's like
tub.
just like chasing me around this. Like, I'm like going in circles, just like swearing and just like being barbaric, like having diarrhea on the side. And I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know. He's like, okay. Like, and then he tried at one point this thing called the TENS machine. It's supposed to kind of like counteract your labor. And I was like, get the fuck off me. No. I'm just like snapping at this poor guy trying to do
That's
anything he
amazing.
can to help me. And I remember at one point, the one thing that did help me really was getting like my ear pods in and getting like the noise canceling. So I had like
Mm.
nothing else to focus on.
Yeah.
But I remember at one point, okay, Adam Levine is my new Justin Timberlake. I can't I never want to hear his voice again. And there was this
No.
one contraction that like started really, it was like the first contraction I remember being like, this is insane. And it was freaking Adam Levine singing Memories. And I was like, I want you to die. Cause like you can't change the song. You can't really like move.
Yes.
And I just
Maroon
remember
5
like, yeah.
canceled.
It's like, this is not Memories. I hate you so much. But again, it was just like a wild ride. So this continues as expected. It just keeps
Mhm.
getting more intense. And then at some point, I'm like starting to consider some some medicines, right? So the midwife's like, you could try the gas, you could try um something in the IV. I don't know exactly, like some type of medication, but I'm like, no, we're ready for the epidural. I can't do this anymore. Like I am like every time I'd have a contraction, I would just fall to my knees. Like I couldn't stand. I was kind of like getting like the contraction would come and I would kind of like black out a little bit. So I
Yeah.
was like, we're here. We got through as much as I can. I'm calling it. I was ready.
Yeah.
So this was probably around what time would it? Maybe 12 p.m. So like I had gone through, I think at this point, 15 hours of natural labor.
Dear
Like that's
God.
what we ended up doing. 15 hours of natural labor, which is a long time, especially on
Yeah.
Pitocin. So I was pretty proud of that. I felt good. So we got the epidural. Great decision. Okay. Like, great decision. Whatever your choice is, I salute you. That
Mm,
was a good decision on my part.
mhm.
So, right when I got the epidural, they were monitoring the baby's heart rate because it being a hopeful VBAC,
Mm.
there's chance of my uterus rupturing. So they want to make sure that the heartbeat is kind of like in line between 110 and 160. And so the baby's heart rate's kind of, it's like right there, but sometimes it would dip with a contraction. And they were basically like, yeah, I'm sure like they're pulling on the umbilical cord, whatever. We're not really worried about it. It would go down to maybe like 90. Sometimes I would notice it go up to like 165.
Mhm.
So just kind of, but like I noticed it enough to start to get me worried. So, anyways, I get the epidural and she's like, do you want me to check you again just to see if you've made any progress? And I'm like, yeah, I can't feel anything. Go on in there, girl.
Yeah.
So she checks me and she's like, you're 5 centimeters dilated. And I was like, great. We went from half a centimeter to 5 centimeters. I'm proud
Moving
of that.
along.
I was 100% effaced. So like cervix had shed all the lining. It was ready to go. She didn't even get to my station and she was like, whoa. And I am sitting there and she goes, oh, I can, your baby's sucking on my finger. And I was like, that's so cute. I'm like, cool. Like, what do you mean? Like, they're right there then. Like, let me push. Um, and she's like, so have you heard of the term? And she said some type of term. Um, and
This isn't time for quizzes. Just tell
yeah, I
me.
was like, no, it was some type of term of like the position of the baby. I thought that
Yeah.
she was referring to the baby being something called sunny side up, which is a harder labor. But it's basically the baby's face is supposed to face your bum, and sunny side up is opposite. So they're facing like
Uh,
vagina.
yeah.
They can still be birthed naturally. I mean, not naturally, vaginally, but it's just a little bit harder. So I'm like, okay, not a big deal. It's like sunny side up. Like we can still do this. And she was like, no, I'm going to show you a picture. And so she goes over the computer, she pulls up the picture, and my heart literally dropped. I was like,
Mm.
holy shit. So basically, um, she was face
Sorry.
presenting. So the way she was coming out, her face was first. So her neck was all the way back. Like if you literally put your head all the way back to your back, like her neck was all the way back. I was like, holy shit. I literally just like lost my fucking mind. And I was like,
Yeah.
tears aren't even the word. I was like seeing the picture, I was like, holy shit. I knew
What do we
immediately that I
do?
was not going to be able to birth this child vaginally because I would have
Mm.
broken her neck.
Yeah.
And
Yikes.
the midwife was like, oh, we can try, like, we can, she was trying to, like, she couldn't even get it out because this was very rare. I found out later this is a 0.1% chance of happening. So it likely won't happen to anyone listening, which is a
Lucky
good thing.
you.
Lucky me. But it was definitely a very, very dark like moment for me. I went like completely black. Um,
Mm.
yeah, it was just wild. So anyways, so she's like, sees me get emotional. She's like, I'm gonna give you a minute. Like, you need to make your mind up because we need to make some choices right now. And basically the choice was like, you need to have a C-section. We can try to reposition you, but like we're not gonna be able to. So she left the room and then within like 30 seconds, all the monitors started like going off. And so baby's heart rate like completely dipped down to 60.
My God.
Um, and so they come rushing in with like their team and they're trying to reposition me. They're thinking like the cord, something's going on with the cord or whatever. And I'm like hysterically crying. I'm not even present. I'm like so dark right now. I'm saying things that like I was like, I don't even know if I process these feelings and I'm just saying them out loud. Poor Chad is like taking the brunt of this, trying to like hold it together for me, but being like, whoa, like where are these like dark thoughts coming from? So I won't get into there because we don't need to get too emotional right now. But it was just like hard because it was the exact opposite of what I wanted. And I was like, now I'm gonna have to have like an emergency C-section basically. And the doctor's like, it's not an emergency. And they're like, it's an urgent C-section. And I'm like,
You're like, whatever
okay.
the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
It's still what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So it was really intense.
Oh,
Probably like 5 minutes. So they're in their room. I'm like cathartic because I'm just so upset.
yeah.
Um, Processing things that I don't think I had processed up until that moment. I'm thinking like I'm not going to be there for Annie, like this baby something could happen. Like you can think about it in your head. Like they've been pounding against their head or their face forever. So I'm like they're probably going to be bruised. They might be like there might be something going on. I'm thinking about Chad. He's not going to be able to work now for 6 weeks because I'm going to have this pretty big recovery. And so just like everything's going through my mind.
Mm,
My blood pressure's like starting to get a little wild as
of course.
expected. And base in like this whole team is in there like trying to go back and forth, trying to get me in different positions to like decrease the heart rate. And the heart rate was not going. And I'm like in between like sobs of like just not being there. I'm like, we're gonna do the C-section. Like this baby needs to come out. Like my main priority is them, obviously. Like
Yeah.
they need to be healthy. And so they stop the Pitocin right away. They're confirming with me. We're like doing all the paperwork as soon as we can, like signing all of the things. And basically, yeah, get rushed into the operating room. So I need to sip my seltzer. I'm
Yeah.
making myself thirsty. Oh my God.
Dear God.
I know. I know. I'm wild. So we are in the operating room and I already had the epidural, which is good. So they just basically like triple down on the epidural medication and they start the C-section. And it was, like I said at the beginning, completely opposite of what had happened with Annie. During
Mm,
Annie's C-section, I was like happy as a butterfly in summertime. Like
yeah.
I was on my anesthesiologist phone looking at names for Annie. Like we're joking. It was like a great time. For this one, it was like really freaking tough. I was basically not there. Like I couldn't open my eyes. I was shaking uncontrollably. They're trying to get medication in me to like stop the shaking. I like physically couldn't like be present. Like I kept
Yeah.
trying so hard to be like look what's happening. And it was just
It's
like
like
a
the
very,
coping.
yeah, yeah. And like I was pumped with medications at this point. So I think I was like
So out
just
of it.
feeding. Yeah. But it was a much longer surgery than the first one too. It was just like freezing. I just remember being like asking the doctor, like, is this almost over? Is this almost over? Because like I can't like keep it to like I'm going to pass out soon. Chad was telling me later, like my blood pressure was down to like 60 the whole time. Like I was just like not
My
like
God. Yeah.
there. And I remember thinking like I'm gonna die. Like this is the moment I'm going to die. And thinking about like, can Chad take care of two babies? Like those are the thoughts that are like in my head. That's the only thing that I'm thinking.
Oh my God.
So they take her out and I like literally remember like trying to peek one eye open to see her. And obviously like you see her and I'm like trying to smile, but I literally like I physically couldn't even like smile.
Yeah. They're like, how does mommy feel?
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, like
Happy. Yeah.
oh my
Okay,
God.
great.
And again, I didn't know the gender. So Chad gets to say the gender and he's like very emotional because he's seeing me struggle.
Yeah.
It was a shit show, like I said. But anyways, he's like, it's a girl. And I remember being like, okay, like I don't like there's
Yeah. Like at that
no
point, it's the least of your worries.
least, yeah. But again, it's like I thought this was gonna be this like remarkable moment. I'm gonna find out the gender of my baby. Like I did not give a flying fuck.
Yeah.
So,
Duh.
anyways, we find out she's a girl. She was super healthy, so happy. The cord was wrapped around her neck twice and her body once. So there was definitely something funky going on in
Mm.
there.
Yep.
She was perfect. Like she was so healthy. Like hearing her little cries definitely like gave me a little bit of like, okay, we're
Yeah.
okay now. Like I
Reassurance.
can get through this. Like as long as she's okay, like I can get through this. But
Mm.
also being like excited she was out so that I could kind of like just shut down for a minute.
Yeah.
So anyways, they weigh her. She was 7.77. So a little lucky baby. The nurse at one point was
It
like, "Oh my, you
is.
should buy a lottery ticket." So funny. And I was like, are you kidding me?"
You're like, not time for jokes.
I was like, or not.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not really feeling like lucky right now.
Yeah, all the comical things.
Yeah.
Um, so anyways, so we end up they, finish the C-section, whatever. And then we go to the recovery room. And Chad at some point was like to the nurse, like, make sure the baby gets right on Caitlin because I think that's gonna really help her. So that she's like right on my chest, and I'm trying, like I said, to just like open my eyes to just even
Mm.
see her. Barely can, but like the longer she was on me, the more I was like, okay.
Self-soothing, kind of.
Yeah. So, anyways, we get to the recovery room. She starts to nurse right away, and I feel like everything flipped. Everything
Good.
flipped. So I was like alive again.
Good.
Um, I was so like ecstatic. Like nothing hurt at all. It was just like very present. And of course that's like known as the golden hour. So I hope
Mm.
everyone gets to experience that kind of like bliss of euphoria. Um, but it's just so interesting because it was opposite of Annie. That's when I started to flip with Annie of like feeling like complete crap. And so to feel, because I was like, all right, well, this is going to get worse. I remember thinking in the OR, like, I'm going to get worse now because like
Yeah.
that's what happened. And it was the exact opposite. I started feeling so much better. I honestly feel like babies are complete medicine.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone was healthy, everyone was happy, and it honestly just went uphill from there. So like the recovery room like the 1 or 2 hours after just getting like a little bit better, a little bit better. And then I was so nervous I was going to get nauseous because that was my thing with Annie. I was really nauseous and then I would start to get anxious about it. And so they like pumped me with Zofran like probably more
Good.
than they should have because I kept being like, I think I'm getting nauseous. And they'd be like, um, and yeah, we ended up going up to our room and it was just like insanely beautiful from there on out. I
Oh.
can't say enough good things about like I had one nurse that literally was like down in labor and delivery with me the whole time and she was such a pillar and then she even like snuck up to postpartum to like check on us and
Oh.
um yeah, I just felt so like I said, Chad was I obviously love him,
Yeah.
but like holy shit, he is like a whole nother person to me at this point.
Yeah.
Which is so
Everyone
funny.
get you a
On
Chad.
yeah. Um, like he was so supportive with Annie, but this was like a whole nother layer. And it's so funny to be in a relationship for 15 years and then to make it even deeper. It's like like this experience has made me such like a different person and it's just
Oh.
crazy of just like the layers of it and even like my relationship obviously with him is like tied to this and it's just so powerful of like one little human being just
Making
being
things
that
happen.
yeah being that thing that just like pulls at everything even neater together um so yeah long story of labor but it has been a beautiful, beautiful journey. And it's so funny because like with Annie, I wanted things to be so different. And obviously I would not wish this on anyone to
Yeah.
happen, but like I feel like in a way it was meant to be. And like made me such a stronger person.
Yeah.
And I'm just so thankful that she's here and healthy.
Yeah, seriously, same. Oh,
God,
I have so
I
many
know,
feelings and thoughts.
I know. I can't believe I get through that without literally, I'm sweating. Like my head is getting
Thinking
down to,
about it again.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I feel
But
like
yeah,
it's that kind of situation that really like opens you up to realizing like how much strength you really have and shows you
yeah.
different sides of your partner and
I
oh,
know. I wrote down in my notes when I was in the hospital, I said, um, giving birth to Annie made me a mom and giving birth to Alice made me a warrior because it's like
oh,
it was just like I just felt like a superwoman going through all
yeah,
of that. Like, there were so many trials along the way and you do it, and it's
right.
like you do it for your kids and it's wild when you're going through it, but my God, it is worth it.
Yeah, and I feel like it like shows you it's like that sneak peek of like your mama bear like growing
Hmm.
into that version of yourself where it's like I can get through all of this stuff and like I
Yeah.
will stop at nothing to like protect you for the rest of your life. Like that is your
Yeah.
first little bit of it. Oh,
You really do. You really do. Okay. I want to talk about weird things that happened that
yeah.
are very unexpected. Just like a couple little notes I was saying in the hospital.
Yep.
So number one, I wasn't excited about the gender surprise. Everyone was like, this is going to be such a fun time. You're going to find out the gender. Obviously, it was a very different situation that most people are in. But I just want to say that out loud. Like, maybe you don't have to do that route. Like, I thought it was going to be this
Yeah.
big deal. It really wasn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like it would have been a lot different if like everything was just like super smooth and
Yeah.
quote unquote normal, then it would have been like, woohoo, okay, cool, exciting. But
Yeah.
this, you're like, I have bigger fish to fry. Like I'm
Yeah.
fighting for my goddamn life, literally.
Yeah. Hmm. And I just feel like there's such a bias sometimes of like it's gonna be such a big moment. Like all these things are supposed to be like big moments, and it's
Mm,
like it doesn't have to be. It's okay. It's okay. Like I wasn't excited it was a girl. I wasn't excited if it was a boy. Like it just was. And so like take the pressure off. If you want to find out it's a
yes.
girl, go and find out.
No, that's
Um,
like on you remember that episode of Sex in the City where Miranda's pregnant and like they're talking about like how women like fake orgasms. She's like, I'm like faking it for the like ultrasound nurses. They're like, "Oh, are you so excited? Oh, isn't it amazing?" She's like, "I don't feel all of these things."
yeah,
Like
no. That is true too. You like definitely throughout your pregnancy, you're like, yeah, but
like
like,
there are like moments where you're supposed to feel certain things. You're
yes.
supposed to have a reaction like take
And
your
you don't have
journey
to.
as it is.
Hmm.
Love that.
Um,
Carry on.
number two, oh, I said I didn't like the set the scene thing. Screw that. You don't need
For the
candles.
candles.
I hated the water, which I totally like a dreamy miracle. Didn't work for me. Okay, this was the weirdest thing. So at some point, like a day or two after I gave birth with Alice, I'm sitting there, my doula was there checking in on us, and Chad was there. And all of a sudden, I'm like, my stomach really hurts, guys. And like, I'm just looking down at my stomach, and I must have been like ass naked at this point too. I'm just like naked all the time now, literally.
Love
I
it.
don't even have clothes on under this throw. Whatever.
Just like
Um,
living her best life.
so I'm like looking at my stomach, and they're looking at my stomach with me, and I was like very bloated, obviously. And all of a sudden, this thing pops out of my stomach like I was still pregnant. Like it looked like there was a baby in my stomach that literally just like jostled, like flipped around. And I was like, oh
There's another one
no.
in there. They
Like,
didn't get
okay.
it out.
No, I was like, I'm psychotic. Like I was like, I'm thinking I'm happy this whole time, but I'm actually in psychosis. Like that's where
Yeah.
my head went. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna be admitted to psych now. Like that's where this journey's going. And I look at Chad and I was like, did you see something in my stomach? Because I'm really worried right now. And he was like, yeah.
Oh,
I was like, thank God. I was
yeah.
like,
Woo!
I wasn't even worried that the fact that there literally looked like there was an alien in my stomach still.
Yeah.
I was like, and my doula was literally just like looking at me like, eh. I was like, what the hell? I was like, okay, so you saw that. That wasn't me. So like number one problem solved. I'm
Yeah.
not in
Not
psychosis.
crazy.
There's that. Like I'm happy.
Yep.
And anyway, so I called the nurse in and I was like, so I think there's a baby still in there. Or you like forgot something. Because I
You
just
left
had
something in there?
Um, and she was like, no, that could be gas. She's like, it actually does happen. She's like, I've never seen anyone explain it. Like there's a child still in there. And Chad was like, no, like I saw it. There was something actually move in her stomach. And she's like, yeah, it's just gas. And so literally there was like a huge gas bubble that
That
like
is crazy.
it was the grossest thing I've ever seen, to be honest with you. Out of all of the things that this is I've gone
Yeah.
through with this experience, that was the grossest thing because I was like, they're gonna have to rip me open again and get this
Right? I'm like,
baby.
not again.
So that was weird, but I guess can happen. So gas bubbles can turn into gas babies.
Yes, babies.
Oh my God. Oh, one thing I did different too was there was a photographer in the hospital that took like
Oh,
first 48 pictures and they didn't
oh,
have it with Annie because it was so close to COVID, but Um, she took the pictures of Alice when she was like 24 hours old or
no.
less. And I love them. They're kind of like giving JC Penney vibes of
No,
just
but
like
like the
silly
cutest.
backgrounds and like she's all puffy and like, whatever, brand new baby.
You're
So
gonna be so
cute. I
happy you have
am. I'm
those.
so happy. And like we did professional photos later on, which are like wicked cute.
Yeah.
Shout out to Julie Freitas and Beverly. She does amazing work, but I love these. I'm like, they were $150 and they're so
Yeah.
tacky and I love them so much. So
You're gonna have those
highly
forever.
recommend if that's a choice for you. Let's see. I think I I think I got it all. I think I got it all. Yeah, we talked about, oh,
Good
two
girl.
under two. We talked a little bit about Annie and everything.
Uh-huh.
A couple differences is that we're doing a ton of screen time. Miss Rachel, go off. Elmo
Never.
is my new pet,
Yeah.
and we're living for TV these days. Also, since Annie has a cold, I'm like pumping this girl with medicine. I'm like every night. Chad's like, should we do Motrin again? I'm like, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because
So
you
does
know what? We're all
medicating
trying to
have
survive.
benefits? Um, yeah. I think that's it. I talked about kind of what's hard with this. But yeah, we made it. We're here. Almost two
We're
weeks
here.
here. Ooh,
Okay. I have questions for you.
you do. I feel like all I did was talk. I'm surprised you're like, all right, I gotta go.
No, I'm like, I want more. Give
Okay.
me
Okay.
more.
Okay.
Okay. When did the name Alice come into the fold? Like,
Yeah.
did you
So
have a short list of girl names or did you know for a little bit?
I knew this was gonna be her name and I didn't want to tell anyone, even
That's
my best
fair.
friends. I'm sorry. Oh my God, I literally have like eggs in my chest. So I was reading our book from book club.
Yep.
Um, what the frick was it called? The last one that we just read.
The Hello
Um,
Beautiful one or the Gems
yes.
Reminder?
Yeah, Hello Beautiful. And one of the characters' name was Alice. And as I was reading it, I was like, that's a really cute name. Then I was like, Alice Osborne. And then I was like, Annie and
That's the
Alice, that
name.
sounds so cute. And I told Chad, and it's so funny because whenever we bounce back names back and forth, we're usually like, no, no, ew, why would you say that? And I was expecting him to be like, what? And then he was kind of tasting it and he's like, yeah, that could work. And so we knew since reading the book that if it was a girl, it was going to be Alice. Chad wanted the middle name to be Irison, which is someone in his family that was like a captain on a boat or
Mm,
has some cool story. But I was like, being a girl, you want like a cool, not a cool, but like a normalish nick, like a middle
yeah.
name, you know? And so we didn't have that completely decided until she was born. And then after going through the labor, I was like, it's Evelyn. And he was
Yep.
like, whatever you want, babe, whatever you want.
No, I think that sounds
So
so nice together.
yeah, they have the same initials and they're actually born exactly 21 months apart. They're both on
Oh,
the ninth, which is so cute too. I'm just like making
that's
them
so
annoyingly best
cute.
friends. So
They're gonna be built-in best friends for
yeah,
life. It's so special.
I know you with one of three girls. It's like that's the dream, right?
Yeah. It like truly is. A girly household is a good household.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
like, I hate to break it to you, Chad, like you were built for this. You're built to be a girl dad. Like he's
yes.
so good at it.
I think you texted him because I think he was probably texting you, like, what the fuck is going on with my wife? I feel like we're all losing it.
No, I texted you because I'm just annoying. And I was just like, any babies? Yeah. Like I was like texting you that every few days. And then he texted me being like, I saw you texted Caitlin, like shit went down.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but he didn't text me. I was obviously with him and he was like, Amanda texted me and said that like I'm meant to be a girl dad. And I mean, he is meant to be a girl dad. He's such a good father to both of them. But it is so funny how he like loves it, you know, like most
Yeah.
people, guys, especially like him being a guy would want, and I think at some point he's like, well, I mean, I would like a son, but like
I
I don't know
mean,
what's gonna happen in the future here.
yeah.
But he is so good with the girls and he loves them. So
And it's such
we're
a special relationship, and I feel
yeah,
like he's
I
just
know.
gonna have such a special relationship with them. It's so
Yeah.
nice. And I feel like it opens up a whole other, like, obviously dads love their sons, but I don't know. It opens up like a whole other like sensitivity to them, I think. I don't know.
Oh, sure. For
No.
sure.
I love it
Okay.
so much. Um, okay. What well we touched on this a bit. Besides Maroon 5, Death to
Yeah.
Adam Levine,
Yes,
what else was
literally.
on the playlist? Like what were the
Mhm.
vibes?
Oh my God, I have everything. If you're looking for a playlist, I can send it to you. Except I
Yeah.
use iTunes because I'm like old and don't know how to use
I
it.
feel
Let's
like it
see
was
what
on my
it.
iPod Shuffle, my Nano.
Yeah. It's called Let's Have a Baby. I have I Am Woman. I mean, it's
Fight
literally, I think,
song.
4 hours long. Yeah, fight song. Just Breathe is number two. Somewhere Over the Rainbow. A lot of
Oh,
Ray LaMontag. Is that how you say
uh-huh.
his name? Some Beyonce. So I definitely went like up and down. I have a
Mm,
lot of like sentimental songs, like our wedding song on it to make me like, and it actually did help. Like I had some songs that would like get a little bit more pumped up, and then
yeah,
songs that reminded me of certain situations, like our wedding song, and I was able to kind of like go back to that moment.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, the
That's
music was
smart.
a huge help for me.
Good. That's smart. Yeah, have some like strength, badass women songs, but then yeah, songs to
Yeah.
slow you down, pull you back in.
Yeah.
Um, what did you bring in your hospital bag? For
Well,
any
that was
first
hard because
time comments?
I didn't expect to be there for 5 days. So like I said, I do wish that I packed more because I was like profusely sweating out all of the
Mm,
medicines and stuff. And so I felt like wet, like I think I actually wore this robe there when I like wanted a clean robe. I didn't
yeah.
necessarily want like clothes, but like I would bring like four fuzzy robes because
Mm,
I like lived in the Johnnies with Annie when I was in postpartum with Annie, but they're just kind of cold and everything.
he's
So
not.
I would, yeah, I would recommend more robes, fuzzy socks. Yeah, that's kind of like literally all you need. They have everything else.
Mm,
Yeah,
love it.
keep it
Um,
basic.
Okay, and then you posted about this on the Instagram story, so it had me wondering. I feel like people worry so much about like having the nursery set up, which actually like is sort of irrelevant at first, maybe besides having like a diaper changing
Yeah,
area. Um, but you set up like a snack drawer next to your bed, which I think everyone needs that regardless.
seriously.
And I remember Megan setting up like little stations, like one by the couch, one by the bed. So for you, like, what is more important than setting up the nursery? Like, how do you prep yourself?
That's a really good question. Completely agree. Her nursery isn't really even like a bedroom, it's a walk-through room and there's not doors on it, which I
Mm,
actually have loved
yeah.
because I can see it directly from my bedroom. So like if Chad wakes up with her in the middle of the night and I think someone's stolen her, I can just look out and just make sure that he's in
Right
the bedroom with her.
there.
Anyways, so yeah, totally. You do not need a nursery. I'll probably have her in our room until she's at least 9 months. And then
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna put her with Annie. But anyways, back to your question. Things that are important for sure, like prioritizing yourself, because as long as
Mm,
you are comfortable, and I remember someone telling me in lactation this when I was trying to breastfeed Annie, like when you're holding the baby and you're uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable. Like they sense your body. And so just kind of making that general statement a little bit bigger. Like when I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like sweating profusely,
mm.
I have like wipes next to my bed. So I can just like give myself a nice little wipe shower.
Yeah.
My friends got me a little cooler, so I literally have like a cooler in our bedroom so that I like can have whatever I want in there right now. It's because I have an oversupply of milk right now, and so I have a little ladybug. So it's a long story, but I've been storing some milk in there because
Okay.
if I don't, it will just drench me, and that's a really gross feeling.
Mm,
Um, and my snack drawer, yeah, it's literally in my nightstand. So it's fabulous. I have
love
my Go
that.
macro bars, I have my popcorn, my applesauce, my Ritz crackers, my salt water. I have Chad get me a salt water every night before I go to bed. So yeah, I feel like just making yourself as comfy and just like preparing like you are going to be like at home for a good amount of time. So like
Yeah.
having all the food. This time around, I am so thankful because obviously when I had Annie, I had this big grand shower and it was so beautiful. And I got so many things that I use again with Alice. Like obviously showers are so amazing. But this time around, Amanda helped me have a little sprinkle with my
Little
girlfriends. They
sprinkle.
came over and everyone brought like a shit ton of food. Our freezer is literally still full and it's 2 weeks
Good.
in. Everyone brought all these gift cards for food. And it's like, of course, I have money. Like, if I want to order food, I can order food, right? But it's the fact of like thinking about it, of like, ooh, we have
Right.
food. I could just go and make something. But it's like if you have a gift card, it's like you have to spend it. So
Yeah.
like I'm a little bit hungry. I'm gonna order food right now. And it makes me so happy. And so I feel like if you are thinking about an alternative to a shower or an alternative gift, the food man goes a long
Mm.
way. So like holler at Amanda Driscoll because that was the best idea ever. Okay.
Holler
Let's
at
get together.
TikTok and also
Yeah.
Taylor and Alex too.
True.
Gotta
True.
give them a shout out.
My good friends. My good friends.
Um, yeah. And it was just like such a fun little girly, like it was so casual, just at the house. We all wore comfies and just like hung out. And I feel like it was nice because it was like just chill. Everyone got to like see you and see Annie and
I
talk
know.
about it, get excited.
It was so perfect. So
Ugh,
yeah,
I love
do that.
that. Um, how has Alice, obviously besides like the birth story, but so far like personality wise or like habit wise, how has she been different than Annie?
Ugh, I can't even believe I haven't talked more about her. She's literally a perfect angel baby. Like
The little
literally,
cherub.
she's so just like so freaking precious. Like Annie has always had a little bit of like girth to her, a little bit of like since I think like she came out screaming and I feel like she has ever since. She's like the sweetest thing ever now and she's so smart, it's scary. But Alice is completely opposite. Like she came out and I was like, is that her cry? Because she it was so quiet and
Oh,
she still had like I mean, she has a little bit louder of a cry now, but
she
it's like if
found her
she's
cry.
telling you she is completely content.
Oh.
She is like very just like mild, I would say. Like
Mm.
she just wants to cuddle. She's like the sweetest little face. She has these bright blue eyes and she just like wants to look at you the whole time. Um, she everything is completely different from Annie. She like from even the way that she doesn't even like spit up like ever. Annie would
Yeah.
like throw up all over me. Um, she sleeps like I don't know, like a newborn. I'm not gonna make it sound that
Right.
great because
Right.
she's not like a great sleeper. We're
I
still up
mean,
every 2 hours.
are they ever at that age?
I
Like,
know, I know, I know. But she's like the sweetest little soul, and I feel like she's just like happy to be here. Like she
mm,
just wants to be with me. Um, and I feel like I said this when I was pregnant, like she has always been part of the plan, and she just feels like she belongs here. Like
yeah.
it was always part of my life trajectory. She was always going to be here. Whereas I feel like with Annie, I had to like bribe her to get here and be like,
Yeah.
promise I'll be there no matter what. And like even to this day, I'm like, okay, let's do this together. But
Yeah.
with Alice, it's more just like she knows she's safe, she knows she's loved, and she just like wants to be with me. And it's she's just like she's just easy.
Yeah. Oh,
So
the
she's a
girl
really
gang.
oh, she's a sweet little angel.
It makes me so happy. I can't wait to come meet her and give her a little squeeze on those cheeks.
Oh, I know. She's got little chubby cheekies. I
Oh
love
my
them.
God. The cheeks are too much. It's so cute.
I know. She's a good one.
Um, okay, and then the most pressing question that's been on my mind.
How big are
and
my boobs? They're huge.
That too. You started watching Love is Blind, and
Oh, I did.
I've received zero reactions from you. I'm
It's
joking,
funny
just
because
joking, but
starting,
also serious.
you're like, I need actual reactions. Um, I started a doc that I want to share on our Instagram of postpartum things I'm doing differently like this time around compared to Annie.
Yeah.
And one of the things was like what I'm watching on TV, and Love is
Reality
Blind is one of them.
TV.
I binged Love is Blind. Oh my God.
It's
Even
so
Chad was a little
bingeable.
hooked. It was so good. It was too quick though. I'm like, I need more, and I wish more people got married.
Yes, I want more.
I
Did you
want
start
more.
season one?
I've already watched season one. I've like
Oh,
watched
okay.
maybe like 3 seasons and then I skipped a couple. And so I just
Got
watched
it,
the
got it, got it,
most
got it.
recent one. Yeah.
Oh my God. We'll discuss at a later date. Like, there is not
Yes.
enough time.
I know. I know. So juicy.
But yeah, I would like it to be like Married at First Sight, where the seasons are like 20 episodes long.
Yeah.
Like, give
Yeah.
me more content.
Yes. I need more. But yeah, great show. I also watched Damsel yesterday on Netflix, and
Oh, how's that?
it was
Another good
weird
one.
as hell, and I loved every second of it.
Oh.
So another movie to binge if you'd like to.
I started Girls Five Eva on Netflix.
I did too, actually. I watched the
I
first
actually
episode.
am kind of loving it.
Yeah. That and First Wives Club on Netflix is really good too. It's
Ooh,
like the
okay.
short episodes and it's based off the movie First Wives Club, I think that's what it's
Yeah.
called. So it's cute. It's kind of like Working Moms.
Oh, okay. I definitely love Working Moms.
I know. So
Um,
good.
yeah, I watched Quiet on Set, which was it's the one about Dan Schneider, like the dark side of Nickelodeon shows, and like
Oh,
everything that happened on set for all of
yeah.
these poor child actors. And it's really good,
Okay.
but if you have any history of like, especially like child sexual assault or anything like that, like obviously there's a heavy trigger warning, but like make sure you're in the right headspace beforehand. And
Yeah,
even
you
if you're
gotta watch
not,
it.
it is like seriously disturbing and like despicable and like dark. So then after that, I was like, we need a serious palate cleanser. Girls Five Ever.
I know. It is so funny. I love
Like,
weird shit like that.
we need to go lighter because this took me to a dark place.
Yep. Yep. I get
So
that.
don't recommend during this time of bliss. Like, if you need something to like harden you to the world, maybe, but like, we don't need to do that.
I don't need that. I don't need that. I'm gonna live in my cocoon. That's
Yeah.
another thing. I like literally I put on our Instagram that I'm making it like on my own Instagram. I'm like posting things because I'm like doing them and I feel
Yeah.
like cool because I'm out getting a coffee for 5 minutes. Then I went back on our Instagram and I was like, I'm making this like fucking glamorous. And like, trust me, it is not. Like, it's because I'm coming back from a doctor's appointment that I'm getting a coffee, or it's because like,
You're like, I'm forced to leave the house, so
yeah,
I
like
need to
I'm not
survive.
choosing to. It's also kind of hard, like mentally staying in your house for as long as you have
Totally.
to. So I just want to definitely put that out there that like I'm making it look like it's like cute on Instagram, but like this is the reality
Mhm.
22 hours of the day.
I feel like that's appreciated though to hear because it's easy to see people on Instagram or like you do see lots of people that are like, oh, they're all already working out. Oh my God. Or like, oh, they're already like dressed up, have makeup on and like are out at lunch with friends. Like, should I already be doing that? Like, how long should I be locked in this house? Cause like I'm not ready to leave.
I know. And even like Like I put a picture up the other day. I don't know if it was on our Instagram or mine, but it was of when I was getting coffee and I said something like first time out in not maternity pants. And then I was thinking on my way home, I was like, but I bought these when I was pregnant. So technically they are maternity.
They're my maternity
I
pants.
think I lied to the masses. But yeah, they were literally like two sizes bigger than my normal size. So like technically they're still so like don't get it
But
twisted. I am still in the weeds with all of the moms and I will be for
yeah,
probably another month and I'm totally okay with that. So
yeah. Just
I
lean
am not
in.
I am not a pretty princess these days.
It's part of the journey. I saw this
Mhm.
TikTok of this woman who was like around our age, maybe like a year or two early. I think she said she was like, or a year or two older. I think she said she was like 33 or 34. And she was just talking about like how much she's like leaning into this phase of her life. Um, she reminded me a lot of you, actually. She was like very like sort of leaning into like the like being like very at peace with like this is my current chapter. And she's like, for some people, 33 would be like old to have a child, which it's not, and it's very normal, especially these days, but depending on where you live and stuff, I guess. Um, and she was like, I did all the things. Like I've been out. I've drank too much. I've gone on vacations. I've done all the things. And she's like, so when I am looking at social media, which she's like, I really am never even doing that right now. She's like, but when I am and I see everyone like out and about, I don't even let my mind go to like FOMO. 'Cause she's like, I've done that like a lot. I've done that a million times. Like I am so happy to just like be here, like making weird faces at my kid and like just hanging out with her. And like my next decision is just like, all right, what am I gonna try to like feed myself for lunch while she's like taking a nap? Or like, she's like, I appreciate, she's like, my baby just took a nap and I get to go sit down and have a cup of coffee and like look out the window. And like, never in my life would a moment like that feel so precious and like feel so exciting. And she's like, and that is a really lovely like new perspective to have on life, like not taking these small peaceful moments for granted. And I think people like me who are like on the precipice of motherhood potentially, um and it's really scary and you think like, what am I going to miss out on? Like it's going to be so hard and scary. Like hearing those perspectives is very like, okay, we could do this.
Yeah. I love that. And I actually notice myself doing that a lot, like just sitting in the complete quiet, like looking out a window and being like, I have everything I've ever
Oh,
wanted. How lucky am I? And it's
yeah,
like, being perfect? Hell no. But like, I don't want it to be. I want it to be exactly this way. Like, I
yeah.
literally have everything that I once dreamed about and more.
Mm,
Um, and like, that is such a blessing. And to be able to actually sit in that thought rather than to just say it, it's like
yeah,
to actually feel that is so, so powerful.
yeah.
I actually saw a post the other day too. So this is like a different thought, but something along the lines of like seeing something on social media um about and this helped me a lot with my birth journey of making decisions. And it was basically like, what if every decision you made was the right one? So instead of
Mhm.
like going back and forth of just like, because I was like, should I start Pitocin? Should I not? Should I go home? Should I not? Should I blah, blah, blah? And it was like, what if literally every choice you made was the exact right decision and
Yeah,
like be? And I feel like that's helped me a lot throughout this journey too, of being like, is Alice hungry? Should I put her on the boob? Should I cuddle with her more? Should I do? And it's like, yep, whatever I decide is exactly what should happen.
yes.
So
And
just like,
I mean, what a good like life perspective to have too, of just like, well, if it was the wrong decision, it was like the right one that you were supposed to make to like learn a lesson or
mhm,
whatever.
yeah,
Oh,
living in that.
I love it. Well, you look great. You're doing great. You like really do. You've got a glow about you, girl.
Oh, she's beauty and she is Zoom filter on 100.
All right. Crank that shit up.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, this was
Oh,
really fun.
it's
I know
been
there's gonna
so
be things I'm gonna
fun.
forget and I'm gonna like bop on our Instagram and be like, by the way, guys.
Yeah. Just an amendment to this episode.
Oh my God, I love it.
No, I feel so lucky that you were feeling good enough to like grace us with your presence and we get this birth story so much
Yeah,
earlier than I think
I know.
expected, which is
Yeah, it was like, Amanda, I'm not going
cool.
to be on the podcast for a whole year. And then I was
Yeah.
like 2 days into the hospital. I was like, you want to Zoom?
Yeah. I have my podcast mic.
You're like, I'm busy.
You're like, what if? What if we actually just like live stream the birth?
I know Taylor was looking at my pictures the other day. I was trying to show her pictures and she was going through like my whole photo album and she was like, "Oh, I just got to pictures of you actually giving birth, so I'm gonna stop that." I was like, "Yep."
Yeah. You're like, all right,
I was like, "You don't want to see the insides of my body? What?"
right. You're like, how dare you that you don't want this closeness in our
Right.
relationship?
You don't want to see my intestines? They're cute.
You're like, it's done wonders for me and Chad. It's like really rude.
Oh my God. All right. Well, this has been
I
fabulous.
love it. All right, well, spam me with some new pictures of Alice, please, after this.
Yes, I will. All right, friends. See
All
you
right.
later.
Love ya. Bye.